Hey guys. Well, if you saw the title, and I think it's pretty obvious, but today, November 12th, 2018, one of my heroes, and probably the hero to a lot of others, Stan Lee, passed away. He was, by far, one of the best, most innovative, and creative forces, not only in the history of comic books, but in the history of fiction as well. Without him, there would be no Marvel. There would be none of those things. And none of the things we love would not be here if it wasn't for Stan. And I know a lot of you who know me personally know I'm a big Stan Lee fan. You know I admired his work. You know I've met him, and you've all know that I've have a big soft spot for him. But most of all, people would just want to know generally, am I okay? And well, I'm okay, yeah. It is sad, yes. It is very, very sad to see Stan die and go. But let's not forget also that he didn't die poorly. He didn't die in vain, and he didn't die in a terrible way. He died naturally, and he died peacefully. You know, it's very hard. They say death in comic books is something that comes and comes and happens all the time. But then you just can't say no to it because it's inevitable. And that's true. Without Stan Lee, there would have been no Spider-Man. There would have been no Fantastic Four, Iron Man, or... Sorry, I'm on. It's alright, I'm just doing this in one take because, guys, I really don't have the energy to do another video like this. But understand this, guys. Stan Lee was a marvel. The company, See, let's not forget also, when I was a kid, I was bullied, I was mistreated, and for the most part, I was an outcast. I guess I still consider myself an outsider in some ways, but when I read superhero comics, I felt really at home. But the one comic book that made me a fan, not only of comic books in general and superheroes, and basically made me into the guy I am today, was this trade paperback. Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Fantasies. Yes, this was indeed a pretty big deal for me, because most people who knew Stan know that he wanted a character that the readers could relate to and deal with the social issues and problems. And basically that's what Spider-Man stood for me, and that. And the one thing it is sad to know is I had very difficulty reading. I still have difficulty reading. I'm dyslexic. I have Asperger's. I pretty much am not that very good at keeping up relationships, and I'm not that good at communication, but ultimately, I am, I guess you could say, high functioning. But whenever I read comic books, whenever I just immerse myself in the world of comic books when it comes to this stuff, and I just can't say no. And it was thanks to the beautiful work of Stan Lee and Steve Ditko who created this wonderful character, Peter Parker. So many people grew up idolizing, respecting, and overall just admiring Peter Parker and his choices. And the fact is, Peter Parker meant so much to so many kids. His struggles, his pain, and not to mention also his tragedies. The constant struggle that he would never have a happy life. Because ultimately that is the sacrifice of a true hero. The fact that Peter Parker would never have a happy life. That is a great character. And like Peter Parker, Spider-Man, it's a wonderful character. But then there's my favorite superhero that Stan created. And you can see the poster back there. It's my favorite comic book movie now that Stan made a cameo in. Black Panther, T'Challa, King of Wakanda. Wakanda forever. And ultimately, guys, Black Panther meant more, is maybe my favorite superhero. He may be the character I love, but ultimately, he was the first mainstream black superhero. If it weren't for Stan's idea, and if it weren't for his creativity to actually do that, we would not have one of the best most culturally relevant films of all time. But yeah, Stan was definitely a beautiful man. He was charitable. He was kind to his fans. He was always generous. He would listen to us. He would understand us. He would always try to make things better. And we owe him for that. We owe him. He doesn't owe us. And that's the thing. Most people, like my dad, accused Stan Lee of being a money grubber. And most people accused him of wanting and being greedy. That's not Stan. That's the people who exploited his name, the brand and all that stuff. That wasn't Stan the person. Those are just the people. Because the real Stan Lee was a kind man in some ways. In some ways, to others, quote Thanos, someone else is a villain in other people's stories, but I'm not going to get into that. But ultimately, Stan Lee was indeed one of my heroes. And we will all miss him. We will. We will generally miss him. We'll miss his cameos. We will miss his wise words. We'll miss his convention appearances. I was fortunate enough to fist bump him. It was, I think, August. It was somewhere in August 13th or August 12th, or somewhere like that, or August 15th. It doesn't matter, but it was at the Boston Fan Expo, or Comic-Con as it was back then. I invited my friend, Kelsey Wakeland. She was a very nice kid. She's a very nice girl. And she needed someone to go to the comic book convention with, so I said, I'll take you. And when we went there, Stan was there, and I couldn't pass up this opportunity. I heard months in advance he was going to be there. Months in advance, I was so beyond excited, and at first, I wasn't going to see him because I had no one to go with, and my dad flat out didn't want to do conventions anymore. But when I heard Kelsey wanted to go, I said, sure, I'll take you. And me and my dad, we went, all three of us, and it was a beautiful time. So we waited in line, and I could see this crowd of people just cheering on, and it was Stan. He was walking by, waving, saying hi, and it was beautiful. And then we waited, and then we walked in. I already had a comic ready to sign, and basically I bought my ticket, so we were in line waiting, and there was this son and father couple ahead of us. They had some artwork they wanted Stan to sign, posters, and I saw a guy with a Rocket Raccoon statue. I saw a guy with a comic book that had the first appearance of the Juggernaut. I saw all these comics, and I was amazed. I even saw a guy with the Fantastic Four #1, which was Stan's first professional job for the in the comics industry. Well, he worked on Captain America before then, but this was the comic book that jump-started the Marvel Universe. So anyway, I was next in line. I saw him. He was signing, and then he and then I said, "Nice to meet you, Mr. Lee." And I know he couldn't hear me because his hearing was old, and then after he signed it, I extended my hand out, and he's like, "Wait a minute." Fist bump. And then he said, "Atta boy." We met eye to eye. That was the first and only time I ever met Stan. It was that honest and that nice. I walked away feeling so jittery. I had my phone with me at the time, so I immediately wrote on my Facebook page and Twitter account, "I just met Stan Lee! I just met Stan Lee!" And I was so beyond excited. And the rest of the convention was great. We met Scott Snyder and a few other people. It was that nice. And I felt bad for Kelsey because she wanted to meet Billy Piper, and she didn't. But I then went and bought her, many months later, as a Christmas present, I bought her a Billy Piper autograph, which I mailed to her, because I'm just that nice of a guy. Yeah, it was that. And this is the comic Stan signed for me. Fantastic Four #53. You know, I have 2 regrets concerning Stan Lee now. The first regret was I wanted to get a copy of Fantastic Four #52, which was the first appearance of my favorite superhero, T'Challa the Black Panther, and have him sign it to have a pair to go with this. And I guess that probably won't happen. I know there's probably some signed copies out there somewhere. Probably super expensive, but hey, time will tell. But hey, at least I met him this one time. And after that, the second regret I have is I never thanked him. I never had the brief conversation. That was just a brief exchange. But yeah, I never thanked Stan for something. What I wanted to say to him and thank him for was he made reading fun. I wanted to thank him for making reading fun. I wanted to thank him for making me feel like I could relate to characters. And I wanted to thank him for just all the beautiful things he did for us fans. I wanted to thank him for making reading and writing programs a thing for certain groups. I wanted to thank him for all that. And I wanted just to thank him. That's a big regret. But I know that, hey, his legacy speaks for itself. His legacy, his heroism, and his courage. You know, the phrase and the lesson he taught all of us was, with great power comes great responsibility. And yeah, that is true. I now may realize I may not have the superpower to climb walls. I may not have the superpower to turn green and become a monster, or I may not have the superpower to stretch, I may not have an iron suit, I may not even be an X-Man, but the one power I have is my imagination, my compassion, and my kindness. And my responsibility is to just show it to the world and be an inspiration and be a role model like Stan was. So in the end, Stan was a great person. He's right up there now with our king, Jack Kirby, and Steve Ditko, and his wife, Joan, Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, who created Superman, Bob Kane and Bill Finger, who created Batman, and pretty much everyone else. The legacy lives on. But, hold on, I'm a low battery count. I'm just doing this all in one take. But ultimately, guys, we do not get upset that Stan Lee's gone. No, it is sad that he's gone, but no. Stan's characters are still here. We're still here, guys. We're still here. T'Challa's still here, and Spider-Man's still here. The whole universe he helped create is still here. And we'll never forget what he did for us. So, I actually memorized this, but it was a eulogy that was said at Jack Kirby's funeral, and it's in Hebrew because Stan Lee also was Jewish, but it's an honor to, but I memorized it. It's an ongoing memorial to Stanley Martin Lieber. It goes like this. Iskatal shmerabo, Elmo vivra fivuse malfuse, viva vero me vedro darishilae, mercadis mirero. Amen. So, Stan, thanks for teaching us how to be heroes. Thank you. I can just imagine all the superheroes he created standing around us. I can even see the DC superheroes out of respect because they're that good. I can see them all coming together. I can see them lining, and I can see Superman looking at Stan's grave and saying, "Goodbye, old friend," because in the end, you were the real Superman. So, thank you, Stan. Thank you. Thanks, guys, for respecting. Excelsior.